Hello, all you people out there in podcast land. This is Texas Tom. In today's episode, we're going to talk about politics, current events, and things going on right now. Hello, all, and welcome to our episode 3 of our podcast series, Google Infiltrates Conservative Organizations. Alrighty, well, we're back again to address just one more of a long list of issues that plague our country today. In my last podcast, I talked about the notion that somehow the two major parties in our country had magically changed their ideologies by 180 degrees and done so around the same time. Yeah, and I know it sounds like fantasy, right? Well, of course it is. But today we have a more current subject to discuss. And to me, this is something even more nefarious than the liberals lying about their true history. Today we're going to have a short discussion about Google, more specifically about a Google executive. Let me see if I can get this name right. Adam Kovacevic, who discussed an leaked clip of how Google is trying to steer, that's his words, not mine, conservatives in the conservative movement. As it turns out, this was in a speech given about CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. And Google actually funded part of CPAC in order to infiltrate the organization and in order to steer it, as they say. It seems that this isn't the first time that Google has funded and infiltrated conservative organizations in order to corrupt them. So let me play the clip, and then we'll talk a bit more about it.
The Republican Party, and I think conservatism generally, is also going through a lot of internal debates about what it should be, right? What should be the sort of position of the party. And I think that's one that we should be involved in because I think the majority of Googlers would want to steer conservatives and Republicans more towards a message of liberty and freedom and away from the more sort of nationalistic, incendiary comments, nativist comments and things like that.
They almost talk as if they want to steer us towards being more patriotic, more for America, instead of nationalist, when in fact the enemy is accusing us of exactly what they're doing. They're the nationalists, they're the fascists, they're the socialists, and they want to control us by steering us in their direction, and yet make it seem like they're not really steering us. Now, it's one thing for corporations to have political leanings, although they really should stay out of politics, but it's another thing for a corporation to try to change public opinion through use of their social power and their manipulation and their propaganda. And then to do so secretly. Well, let's just say if their message was a good one, they wouldn't have to hide behind a veil of secrecy. But being nefarious is nothing new to Google. Google recently installed microphones in their home security devices without telling potential buyers they had done so. Sadly, none of our government agencies that are supposed to enforce our laws will take steps against Google for any of this. After all, most of the people that run these agencies were put into place by our previous socialist president, Obama. The same agencies that to this day continue to attempt a soft coup against President Trump. We could go on and on about other corporations too. Let's not forget that about 6 months ago, Amazon and their Alexa app had been found to have been emailing audio from their devices to email addresses unknown. One has to wonder why they would have even included such code in their device unless they intended to use it. So this concludes today's podcast. So much material in so little time, it seems. I fully intend on longer podcasts in the future, so stick around. Stay frosty, my friends. The enemy is within.